Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So today I thought I'd do a new video about why I've upgraded from the R6 to the R6 MK2. There's a lot of reasons why you would want to upgrade. Obviously a better sensor, better frames per second, all around slightly better autofocus, but I don't think you would see the differences in the real world. I'm presently recording on the R7 if you're wondering. People do sort of berate this camera a little bit, the R7, but I think it's pretty good for a budget camera. However, I want to talk about why I've upgraded to the R6 MK2, and simply there's only a few reasons. Now if you think it's worthwhile doing so, you have to factor into the cost as well. You can pick up an R6 for about £1,000. To get hold of a new R6 MK2 in the UK would cost you about £2,500, or if you go to a grey importer, you could knock about £1,000 off that. That's what I did. So basically I paid £2,500 for my original R6 and I bought the R6 MK2 for £1,500 grey import. If you don't know what a grey import, I've done some videos on that if you want to go and check my channel out regarding that. But loosely put, they're a foreign importer and you can get your camera a lot cheaper but with no UK warranty. Anyway, basically there's quite a few advantages, such as your video performance. So I thought I'd go through some of the specs briefly. So in raw video recording, the R6 MK2 has it and the R6 does not. Video recording limit, you have no recording limit on the MK2, you have 30 minutes on the original R6. Obviously there is no crop in 4K 60p in video, where there is a 1.07x crop on the original R6. Obviously dedicated video and still switch, yes, you do not have that on the older R6, and you have a pre-shooting buffer. Basically you can pre-shoot up to about half a second on the new R6 MK2. That means if you're waiting for some action and you keep your finger pressed, it will continuously buffer and record, and that's great for anything that's really fast moving. And obviously there is lens breathing correction on the R6 MK2 and there is not on the R6. Sensor resolution, so let's get into the megapixels. Basically it's 20 versus 24. That's in effect 19% more pixels, but in the real world it's about 10% difference you will see. You do have a slight difference with the electronic shutter. Instead of it being 8 thousandths of a second, it's 16 thousandths on the R6 MK2. And you have 40 frames per second versus 20 frames per second. A lot of people talk about, oh, it's faster, it's got more frames per second. The thing is, in the real world, you don't really need more than 10. I'll be honest with you. Think about it in the film days. You know, the best cameras you could get did about 8, or even maybe 12 with the 1Ds. So I think 20 frames per second is more than adequate. I don't think that's a reason for you to upgrade, and this is what the video is about, reasons why you would want to upgrade. Battery life is slightly better, 580 shots on the R6 MK2 versus 360 shots on the R6. We do have focus stacking, stacks photos in camera to maximise depth of field on the R6 MK2. And we also have multi-function interface hotshoe. So what that allows you to do, and that's one of the reasons why I would buy this camera to upgrade, is it allows you to put a microphone that would be powered by the camera on the top. Canon do make their own. It's not the best quality microphone out there in the world. However, it's means you don't have to have it connected to a battery. And one thing I quite often occasionally do is I forget to put a battery in a microphone on the top of a normal camera, and I record and I've got no sound because I've forgotten that I should have put a battery in. And that's the great thing with this intelligent hot shoe that Canon's come out with. So it's called a multi-function interface hot shoe, and it's a good thing. Another advancement and reason to get the R6 Mark II is the increased autofocus box on these f11 RF lenses. So let me just grab the 800mm f11 lens, right? There's also a 600mm lens. I think the minimum focus on the 600 is 4.5 meters, and it's 6 meters on this. So it does have its disadvantages, and it's an f11 as well, so it's not fantastic for taking images in low light. But what I have noticed is the autofocus box on the R6 and the original R5, and I suspect the same would be on the R8, although you may need to check that. The autofocus box is about that big and that tall, and that doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to take bird photography if it's moving across the frame like this, you know. So it's not fantastic. But in the R6 Mark II you get 80% coverage. To my eye it's more closer to 90%, but basically you get all this. If I can do that with my arms. Oh, you can't go completely to the edge of the screen, but almost, and that's a massive deal. Massive deal. So let me tell you the 3 reasons why I have upgraded. Now, it is £500 extra, because if you can sell your R6 for about £1,000, and let's say you get a grey import for £1,500 like I have, basically you're talking about a net £500 investment. So the reasons why I have decided to upgrade is, 1, the f11 autofocus box is much bigger, as I've said, 80% coverage. Number 2, unlimited video recording times. We no longer have that stupid cripple hammer of 30 minutes. So that's another reason. So that's my number 2 reason why you would want to upgrade. Number 3, the intelligent hot shoe. The multi-function interface hot shoe is the 3rd reason why I would upgrade, because it allows you to put a microphone onto the camera powered by the battery on the camera, no longer having to have an external battery. Now, Rode do a video to go microphone that does not use a battery, and it connects into the camera, and it's unpowered. I think it draws some power from the microphone input socket, but not much. The problem is you can't really boost the audio, and it doesn't give you a super fantastic bass. So that's why I think having a microphone powered by the camera is a big upgrade, and obviously it will drain your battery. So I would highly recommend the battery grip. Now, there is a 4th reason actually that I haven't said: the battery grip. Now, these battery grips are very expensive. You may be interested in the R5 Mark II and be thinking about upgrading, but can you use the original battery grip on that? No, you can't. However, on the R6 Mark II you can use the older grip. So if you own an R5 or an R6, you can use the same grip on the R6 Mark II, and that's going to save you a pretty penny. I think this cost me about £380. It's a lot of money. Unfortunately, when you try selling them on, you don't get a lot of money for them. Like I had the EOS R, and I was trying to sell the grip for that. It cost me about £300, and I only got £80 back. So you do lose a lot of money. To be honest with you, in general, cameras and battery grips lose a ton of money when you try and sell them on. An example of that is I paid £2,500 approximately for the R6, and it's only worth £1,000. Now I expect the R5 to drop it similarly in the near future, maybe in the next year or so. It's still quite high, around £2,000 in terms of second-hand resale price, but I suspect it'll come down in time. Maybe when the R5 Mark III comes out, you never know. There are rumours of the R6 Mark III coming out at some point, but I won't hold your breath because a lot of people get that wrong, including the ordinary filmmaker. He gets everything wrong, if you ask me. But yeah, those are the reasons why I think you would want to upgrade. I think in general, if you're talking about the sensor, autofocus speed, autofocus capabilities, there might be a few advantages with the R6 Mark II, you know, a few extra modes such as airplane mode and that sort of thing, that you might not have with the original R6, but I don't think those are reasons to really upgrade. I think if you're looking for reasons to upgrade, for me it's the increased autofocus box, 40 frames per second, unlimited recording video. There is a slight bump in megapixels, versus 20 versus 24. And then obviously the intelligent hotshoe, which allows you to attach microphones that are powered. So those are the main reasons that I think you would want to upgrade. In general, the specifications of the camera remains the same. There's a few different minor differences with the button placements. You know, you've got a dedicated video button on there. But essentially it's the same camera. You might need to spend a bit of time learning the menus, pretty much the same, some minor differences. So those are my three main reasons why you would upgrade from the R6 to the R6 Mark II. If I'm honest with you, I don't think there's a lot of differences. If I haven't already mentioned it, but I will mention it, the electronic shutter has had a bump in speed to 6 thousandths of a second from 8 thousandths of a second, so that'll be really handy for anyone who's doing video and doesn't want to use like one of those dark filters that lowers the amount of light coming into your lens. A lot of people, filmmakers, use them because the light might be too bright, but I don't think that's a big deal for me. The main reason for me, if I'm honest with you, the one reason that made me do the upgrade is using this. The f11 800mm STM RF lens. The autofocus box is usable now. You can use it for wildlife with fast moving action moving across the frame, because you've got the majority of the whole sensor readout, where the R6 and the R5 is restricted. Now you can actually go into crop mode and make that box a lot bigger, but you lose megapixels doing that. So I just wanted to do an update why I have upgraded. It's not an upgrade I wanted to do. I was really tempted to go for a second-hand R5, but then it's that autofocus box improvement which is a big deal. It's not mentioned a lot in the YouTube world, and not a lot of people talk about it, but I think it's a massive difference in the photography world in terms of if you can't afford the RF 200 to 800 lens. I've done a video where I compared, well, I haven't done it in person, but I've compared the specs of the RF 100 to 500 versus 200 to 800 lens. But you've got to remember that lens is twice as heavy as this lens, and if you're looking for something that's light, not heavy, you know, I can carry this all day long. It's half as heavy as the RF 200 to 800 lens. And as for the 100 to 500, I use that with a 1.4, gets me to 700mm at f10 versus the f9 at 800mm. It's up to you which you prefer. Obviously you got the full motion of zoom on the 200 to 800 rather than what you have on the 100 to 500. Price can come into this as well, because you can, depends where you buy it, but you could get the 200 to 800 for about, I don't know, maybe £2,000, and the 100 to 500 is about £2,500. but then you've got to get an extender, 1.4 extender on there that changes it from 7.1 to f10, and that's about a £400 price on top. So you're 2,900 versus around £2,000. So it depends which way you want to go. I actually prefer carrying the 100 to 500 around because it's compact, and then you can always put the extender on if you need to. I do appreciate you can't zoom back beyond 300mm when you've got the extender on. Bit of a bummer that Canon didn't think about this when they made that lens. I don't know why they did this, but it was a silly mistake that they made, because it has annoyed a lot of people, because everyone would like to go from, you know, 500 to 100 with the extender on, you know. But I thought I'd just do a quick video to highlight the reasons why I think the R6 Mark II is worth getting. Now, if you're not bothered about what I've mentioned, such as a slight bump in megapixels, 40 frames per second instead of 20 frames per second, you're not bothered about using these f11 lenses, and you're not too bothered about unlimited recording, if 30 minutes is fine for you, it's been fine for me for years. But obviously if you're a wedding photographer, you might appreciate unlimited recording, dependent on your batteries, obviously. You'll probably get about an hour and a half out of 2 batteries with a battery grip. But hopefully this video was informative, telling you about the differences between the two cameras. There's a slight difference in terms of the layout with the cameras, so I'll just briefly look at that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the two cameras side by side. Obviously you can see they're pretty much identical on the front. I just rotate them. The R6 Mark II is on the left, by the way. On the back, again, you can see very little difference. And then on the top, I'll just show you the top there. You can see there's a slight difference. So on the top, hopefully you can see that, that's in focus. So on the R6 Mark II, the layout is slightly different. We've got an off and lock on button, and to the left there you can see we've got a video mode switch and a photo mode switch. Essentially that's the main differences, you know, in terms of physical differences. There's not a lot in it. If you picked one up, you'd be mistaken to think it's the same camera. You know, it might be the old R6, you know, unless you had a closer look. Oh, right. So there's a off and lock on button to the right, and there's the video mode switch to the left. Now, some people have complained that while they've got a lens here, they're holding the lens, and they have to do that with their hand and get to the video and photo switch. I don't see that as a main concern. What's the problem holding the lens and just doing that? Why is that such a big deal? It's just a mute point. I thought I'd mention it, that some people were complaining, but as you can see, that's what it looks like on the top. So hopefully you found this video informative. Again, I think what it comes down to is the improved autofocus in the f11 lenses, 40 frames per second, intelligent hotshoe on the top. There's extra whistles, bells that are associated with the new camera, obviously. Check out the new specs online if you're interested. However, I think I've really covered the main benefits of the new R6 Mark II. So those are my 3 reasons why you would want to upgrade, such as increased record time, the f11 lens usage, and the intelligent hotshoe. 3 main reasons why you would want to upgrade. Will the sensor be slightly better? Dynamic range is approximately the same. You might think your R6 is slightly brighter because it's got less megapixels. Those pixels are slightly bigger. That's the advantage of less megapixels versus more. However, I think in general they're as good as each other. I don't think you'll be disappointed by either camera. So if you're looking into the market or buying a second-hand R6, you know, go ahead, get hold of one. They're going really cheap. Like me, I've lost £1,500 on my original R6 Mark 1. However, if you're in the market for getting hold of a new camera, you're just starting out and you want to think about what's a good camera for me to get, I don't think you could go wrong with an R6 Mark II. Could you possibly go for the R8? Remember, these cameras that I'm talking about have IBIS, image stabilization in body, which is rated about 5 stops when coupled with a good lens. The R8 doesn't have IBIS. That's the disadvantage with it, and that's why I did a video where I basically said it isn't a great camera, and it doesn't have a full mechanical shutter. Both these have a mechanical shutter, and sometimes when you've got rolling shutter, in terms of rolling shutter, there's a minor difference between the two cameras. It's so minor, I don't think you would ever notice it, if I'm honest with you. Are they going to be as fast as the R3 in terms of eliminating the majority of rolling shutter? No, unfortunately, you're still going to get some rolling shutter. But apart from that, if you can live with a little bit of rolling shutter, I don't think you're going to be too disappointed. I think if you're doing portraiture, landscapes, that's a moot point. If you're doing fast action motorsports and birding, that might come into it. However, to be honest with you, I've never noticed it being an issue for me. But if rolling shutter is a problem, remember you've always got the 12 frames per second mechanical shutter you can rely on, which will significantly reduce rolling shutter effects. A lot of people like to use the electronic shutter because it's silent and quick. And one thing I haven't mentioned is there's an audible button on the R6 Mark II when you're in electronic shutter. So when you press the shutter, it goes click, 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 click really fast, depending on what speed you've got it set to. But you can audibly hear something. So I thought this video would be helpful for you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in another one. And remember to like the video and subscribe. See you later. Bye bye. Right guys, I've just bought something. I thought I'd do a bit of a bonus add-on video. Got a box here, and I thought I'd show you what I've got. Now, if you've got a bit of money lying around and you want to get a good lens, a very good lens, I highly recommend this. So this is the RF 24-105 f4 lens. LISUSM. Basically I thought I'd do a little bit of an unboxing video for you guys. So basically it's a good lens. It's f4, lets a lot of light in, and it's not as expensive as a 2.8, which would let in twice the amount of light that a f4 does. However, let's do a bit of an unboxing video. So what do we get? Little manual. We get a little pouch. Let me just show you the pouch. So the pouch is like that. Hopefully you can see that. Not bad. In the box, some more documentation. And obviously lots of packaging, polystyrene, and a lens hood. Good thing that we get a lens hood. Canon does tend to not include one on the cheaper lenses, but on the L lenses you do get an included lens hood. And then essentially that's the lens. And then a bit of plastic in there to protect it, but that's essentially the L lens. So you might be asking, how much did it cost? So I think it worked out about £1,050. At the moment, I think it's because of Black Friday. So this is the L lens, guys. Quite a nice lens. It's a 77mm filter thread. Quite a nice lens. So basically it set me back £1,050. It was actually £1,200 on Amazon. I've been waiting to see if it'll come down in price, and it did actually, because of the Black Friday deal. So this was, I think, £1,202, and then they offered a £150 voucher off, and then I had quite a few vouchers that I could use towards it. This is a lens I really wanted to get because it's a 24-105 L lens. It's weather sealed, it's f4, that's lots of lighting. It has a control ring on there, as well as a manual focus and zoom. There's also a lock switch on there as well, so nice little lock switch, and that's what it looks like when it zooms out. So that's the lens. Thought I'd just do a little add-on video. You guys can see me unboxing it.